I do eat 5 to 6, sometimes 7 meals a day. I was probably at that time ingesting about anywhere between 6 to, well, I would say possible, almost 8,000 calories a day.
I have said for about 5 or 6 years now that The Rock is the fakest celebrity.
If you think of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, what comes to mind? Probably his insane physique, his Hollywood charisma, and the fact that for years he was one of the most untouchable stars on Earth. The Rock was the guy who could do no wrong. Wrestling icon, box office juggernaut, entrepreneur, social media powerhouse. But fast forward to now, and things look very different. His reputation is crumbling, his projects are failing, and the internet is turning against him. This is the downfall of The Rock, a story of ego, controversy, and how one of the most beloved celebrities alive just lost everything. The Rock's story has always been larger than life. He went from a failed football player in the Canadian League to dominating WWE in the late 90s and early 2000s. His charisma, his catchphrases, his unmatched energy, he became one of the biggest wrestling stars of all time. And Hollywood quickly came calling. With movies like The Mummy Returns, The Scorpion King, Walking Tall, and Welcome to the Jungle, he transitioned from wrestling to acting seamlessly. But the real breakthrough came with Fast and Furious 5, where his role as Hobbs brought in a whole new audience. From there, The Rock exploded into superstardom, starring in blockbuster after blockbuster. At his peak, Dwayne Johnson was the highest-paid actor in the world, pulling in hundreds of millions per year. He was everywhere, from kids' movies like Moana to giant action films to hosting shows, launching businesses, and building his brand as a family-friendly inspiration. But behind the scenes, cracks were already forming. One of the biggest parts of The Rock's identity has always been his body. He's built like a tank, even into his 40s and 50s. On Instagram, he constantly posts videos of his insane workouts, his diet, and his so-called dedication to fitness. But people started questioning, how is this even possible? At 50 years old, The Rock looks bigger, leaner, and more vascular than he did in his wrestling prime. Experts and fans alike pointed out the obvious. His body screams steroid use. In interviews, he denied it, claiming he hadn't touched steroids since he was a teenager. But the fitness world wasn't buying it. Even Joe Rogan, on the biggest podcast in the world, called The Rock out. There's not a chance in hell he's clean. No way.
When you look at his physique in the early days of the WWE.
Oh, nothing in comparison.
Yeah, let's go to like the early days of The Rock. I mean, he was like very athletic, great genetics, big, strong guy.
Yeah.
But he didn't look anything like he looks now. The mass and the striations and the vascularity.
This version of him did, but like this version definitely did.
Yeah, like that version. I mean, he's fit.
On the right, yeah.
Looks good, but look at the difference there.
The Rock built his brand on hard work, discipline, and grind-set motivation. But more and more, people started realizing it was all smoke and mirrors.
The Rock is on steroids. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I've been to America and I know what goes on. I would believe that The Rock would be on testosterone replacement therapy. A very good thing to do. It's actually very good for you, very healthy for you, helps you be big and strong, helps you live a long and prosperous life.
And this dishonesty about his physique became the first major crack in his perfect image. But if the steroid accusations were just whispers, the Black Adam disaster was a full-blown explosion. For years, The Rock hyped Black Adam as the movie that would change the DC universe forever. He called it his passion project, saying it would be the start of a new era. He trained harder than ever, got into the biggest shape of his life, and promised fans that Black Adam would rival Marvel's Iron Man. When the movie finally dropped in 2022, it was a disaster. Critics slammed it as formulaic, predictable, and lifeless. Fans were disappointed, the story went nowhere, and it tanked at the box office. Reports showed the film was set to lose Warner Brothers nearly $100 million. But The Rock didn't accept failure. Instead, he allegedly manipulated numbers and leaked fake financial reports to the media to make it look like Black Adam was a success. He even tweeted out articles claiming the film was profitable, when in reality, insiders exposed the lies. It looked desperate, and it destroyed his credibility. Even worse, reports revealed that The Rock had interfered with DC executives behind the scenes, trying to reshape the entire DC universe around himself. He demanded that Black Adam be separated from Shazam, even vetoing cameos and storylines. He tried to force a Black Adam versus Superman rivalry, pushing Henry Cavill back into the role, only for it all to collapse when James Gunn took over DC. In the end, Black Adam wasn't just a failed movie. It was the nail in the coffin for The Rock's Hollywood dominance. While his movies were failing, people also started noticing something else. The Rock had basically turned into a walking advertisement. Whether it was his energy drinks, his clothing line, or even ice cream, he was constantly selling something. Every Instagram post, every red carpet appearance, every interview felt like a promo. And fans started mocking him, calling him Dwayne the Ad Johnson. Instead of being a relatable, hardworking figure, he came across as a soulless marketing machine. Someone who cared more about pushing products than about authenticity. But if there was one moment that really shattered The Rock's reputation, it was the Maui wildfires. In 2023, when deadly fires ripped through Maui, The Rock teamed up with Oprah to launch a fundraiser. They each donated $5 million and then went online asking everyday people to donate too. The backlash was immediate and brutal. People called him out for being a multimillionaire, asking regular working-class Americans, many of whom live paycheck to paycheck, to donate money instead of just covering the costs themselves. Comments flooded his page. The Rock was forced to apologize, admitting he could have handled it better. But the damage was done. Fans no longer saw him as humble or inspirational. They saw him as out of touch, privileged, and fake. The Rock thought he could at least return to WWE and remind people why they loved him in the first place. But even there, his reputation took a hit. When he returned at WrestleMania 40, instead of fans being excited, many booed him for hijacking storylines and inserting himself back into the spotlight at the expense of younger talent. It was the same pattern we'd seen with Black Adam. The Rock making everything about himself. His ego couldn't let him play a supporting role. He had to be the center of attention, and people were sick of it. And then there's the strangest part of all, The Rock's political ambitions. For years, he's hinted at running for president. He's talked about polls showing he could beat Trump, he's released shows where he plays himself as president, and he's done interviews where he says he'd run if that's what the people wanted. But critics quickly pointed out the obvious. The Rock has zero experience, no political stance, and avoids any controversial opinions. On Joe Rogan's podcast, he even backpedaled on endorsing Joe Biden, saying he just supports both sides. People saw right through it. The Rock wasn't a leader. He was just a brand chasing attention. So here we are. The Rock went from the most beloved star in the world to one of the most criticized. His body exposed as fake, his movies flopping, his fundraiser turning into a PR nightmare, his ego ruining both Hollywood and WWE opportunities. The truth is, Dwayne Johnson built his empire on hard work and charisma. But somewhere along the way, it all became about ego, greed, and control. And now, The Rock is finally facing consequences. He's not untouchable anymore. The man who built his image on being for the people has lost the one thing money can't buy, the trust and respect of the fans who made him famous.